Hey guys, it's your girl Kendall. Welcome back to a new video from Youth Talks. Last week we spoke about the two major divisions of the Bible, the Old Testament and the New Testament. We also briefly spoke about how each of those sections can be broken apart. Today we're going to take our time to walk through each section. As we already know, the Old Testament can be broken down into four major ways: law, history, poetry, and prophets. Let's start with the Book of Law. The Book of Law can be broken down into 5 books, and it's called the Book of Law because it generally pertains to Moses, and it contains the laws of Moses. The laws of Moses are also called the 10 Commandments. These books hold a great deal of history. Stories such as the creation, the flood, Babel, the Exodus of Egypt, Sinai, and the 40 years of wandering in the wilderness. The next 12 books are the books of the history of the Israelites. And in these books, you can find stories such as the conquest of the Promised Land, the period of Judges, the United Kingdom, the divided kingdom, the Babylonian captivity, and the restoration of the Israelites' homeland. The next 5 books are the books of poetry. These are called the books of poetry because they are poetic in nature. These books consist of wisdom, literature, songs, and narratives. The next books are the books of the prophets. There are 17 books in total. The books of the prophets can be split into 2 ways: the major and the minor prophets. The major prophets doesn't mean that they're more important, it's just that the books are longer. Throughout history, God spoke to his people through his prophets. In the Old Testament, the prophets weren't primarily speaking about the future. They were primarily calling God's people to live a godly life. Now, as we spoke in the previous video, the New Testament can also be broken down into 4 ways: gospel, history, letters, and prophecy. In the gospel section, there are 4 books: Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You can read about the life of Jesus and his ministry. Each book is written by a different person with a different perspective, but each have a different purpose. In the history section, it's the book of Acts. In the book of Acts, they talk about the birth and the early years of the church. This tells us about how the churches went from being exclusively Jewish to being largely Gentile. The Apostle Paul is the primary character in the book of Acts, but you can also learn about other leaders such as Peter. The next section is letters. Majority of the letters were written by Paul. The Apostle Paul spent his life planting churches. And majority of those letters that he wrote to the churches can be found here in those books. There were general letters written by Peter and John and other leaders. Each of these letters had a specific purpose, which meant each of these letters were very unique in each of their own ways. Each letter had a different lesson that could be learned. And finally, we have prophecy, and this is the book of Revelation. The book of Revelation was a letter written to specific churches. This letter was intended to encourage Christians. Like the prophets in the Old Testament, the book of Revelations spoke to people living in that day. But the book of Revelations gives us a little glimpse into the future of Jesus ushering in a new age and his kingdom being fully established. I hope this information helps you in your Bible study journey. As always, leave some tips below to help your brother or sister, and hope to see you in the next one. God bless.